Hey BL families, today we're talking about our first Kansai BL, which is Tsuki ya nen kedo do yaro ka, or Although I Love You and You. So what is Kansai? Kansai is a region of Japan. Here are the regions. I live in the yellow region, which is called Tohoku, northeast. The green region is Kanto, which is east central, and that's where you find Tokyo. And the blue indigo region, that is Kansai. 24, 25, 26. 27 is actually Osaka, where this show is set. So that's west central Japan. And so where are BL usually set? So they're not usually in Kansai. This is our first Kansai BL. Where are they usually set? Well, they're set in Tokyo and Kanagawa, which are number 13 and 14 on this map. Like everything in Japan, centered in Tokyo and Kanagawa, basically. Sometimes Chiba, sometimes Saitama, all in this Kanto region, right? Um, and the greater Tokyo area, which is in that region, has about half of the population of Japan, a larger population than Canada. So it makes sense that stuff is very centralized there, but you know, um, it's it gets old sometimes. So where are some other BL set outside of that region? Well, sometimes if we have a reason to set a BL somewhere else, like this one is, we're seeing the clash of Kanto and Kansai, and so it's set in Kansai. But we also can have BL set in other regions when they're sponsored by a film commission. So Dare Kitakyushu movie is sponsored by Kitakyushu Film Commission, and so is set in Kitakyushu, which is the Grey Island, on the Grey Island at the south. The Lilac Island has Tokushima, which the Tokushima Film Commission helped out with our dining table, so that's set in Tokushima. And number 4 is Miyagi. I live in the yellow region. I've lived in 3, 5, and 7, and so I've always lived next to Miyagi. And when I watch Life, Love on the Line, I immediately, the very first scene where they meet, I'm like, I know that hill, which is a very random thing to think in the first scene. But I was like, I know that hill. That hill feels like it's in Sendai, which is the capital of Miyagi. And lo and behold, this is a Miyagi Film Commission project. So it was set in Miyagi. So what does being set in Kansai actually mean? Um, Here are some of the things we can expect, and we're going to look into how we've already seen some of these things. The middle strip here is Manzai, which is a type of comedy that is not from Osaka, but kind of got taken over by Osaka. And so Manzai is a two-person type of comedy where one person is kind of playing a silly role, a bouquet, and they are kind of, and they don't understand the world, they make stupid mistakes, and the other person is Komi, and they're kind of like being berating the bouquet role person, and the comedy comes off them playing off of each other. Um, Manzai, like I said, has become very Osakan, and so the whole of Japan thinks of Osaka as the center of Japanese comedy, and people who aren't from Kansai, Osaka, Kansai region, will adopt a Kansai accent often when they do Manzai to seem funnier because we're so convinced that Kansai is the funny part of Japan. Some other things you might see. Um, the culture, I feel in Kansai is very mixed as opposed to the culture in the rest of Japan and in Tokyo. In Tokyo, obviously, there are lots of different cultures, but you go to the other culture, you eat the food or participate in something, and then you go back home. In Osaka, the culture is like kind of amalgamated. And so like a lot of older Korean like words that have been in Japanese for a long time that came from Korean came in through Osaka into Japanese and then went into mainstream Japanese, right? You will also notice that Osaka fashion is louder than Tokyo fashion. Tokyo likes black, white, gray. Like there are sometimes people will be like, "Oh, you're so bold wearing navy blue," but Osaka is bolder, right? And it obviously depends on the person, but yeah, Osaka is louder about fashion. Food is different. So this is a stereotypical Osaka food, which is takoyaki, which is octopus balls, not the balls of an octopus, but dough with octopus inside. And one of the weirdest random things that Osaka does, and Kansai in general does, is stand on the right on escalators when the rest of Japan, all the rest of Japan, stands on the left. So that is a random thing. So how have we seen some of this come up in episode 1? Yes, we have. We've seen the idea of the comedy come up when Soga is struggling with Osakan people because he feels like people expect comedy in your work, right? And this is true because I've had situations as well where Osakans have come here to Tohoku to give lectures, and the lectures are way more casual and way more friendly, like Western lectures, right? And then they also like use words that we wouldn't use because we're super polite in the north, we're super conservative in the north in some ways, and so like a word like idiot we would not use in a presentation, but an Osakan would say, my colleague, oh, he's such an idiot. And my northern conservative brain is like, he said idiot in public with people he doesn't know, you know. So that's one thing that we've already seen come up. Soga struggling with this culture of be funny, be casual. And we've also seen a difference come up in that Sakae assumed that Soga was not saying what he meant. Okay, when he texted him to say he was going to swing by the shop, he said, oh, that's shakojire, which is just words you're supposed to say and not what you actually mean, because Tokyo is more polite than Osaka. Not to say Osaka is rude, but in school we learn extreme opposites. Polite opposite is rude. But really there's some like oblique opposites, like honest and fun. Like you can't be very, very fun and also very, very polite. You can't be very, very honest and also very, very polite. Do I look good in this dress? Honest answer, polite answer, different. Polite answer, yes, you always look beautiful. Honest answer, you look like a sausage. So these things are different. And so Osaka is more fun and more honest. And so when Tokyo is being super polite, it feels like a lie from the Osaka perspective. What else might we see happen, or will we see happen? Another big difference for me as someone who listens to the Japanese and doesn't even have access to subtitles, is the way they speak. So there are two things that we're going to look at about how they speak. One is accent, and accent has two different things going on. One is the way we say accent in English, where people from different places use a different cadence, a different rhythm, sound different overall, right? London does not sound like Australia, which does not sound like Barbados. Even for me, I'm from Barbados, and I'm talking like this so that people understand me. If I was talking to somebody from Barbados, then I would talk differently. I would be talking like this, and people would not be able to understand what I'm saying, and it makes sense. So because I want you to understand me, I'm speaking with a different accent. There's another word for, that we call accent here, which is pitch accent, which basically means, is your word going up down or down up or up or whatever, right? So pitch accent is a feature of Japanese where, let me give you an example. So we have candy and rain are the same two syllables, a and me, right? But one is ame and one is ame, right? You can hear the difference, right? Ame, ame. This difference will tell you if you mean candy or rain. However, these pitch accents are quite often flipped from Tokyo to Kansai, right? And what that means is it sounds like kind of if someone was speaking with the stress on all the wrong syllables, right? So instead of Mary enjoys movies, they said Mary enjoys movies, right? And it's weird. Like I can understand the actual, that accent, but it sounds and feels weird. Um, the other thing that's going to be going on with the speech is Kansai Ben or Kansai dialect. So they're speaking using different words and a bit of different grammar. I think I'm going to do a whole different video on this because I don't want to talk forever on one video, but I'll give you two examples of Kansai dialect that we've seen in episode 1. Okini. Okini is thank you, and in standard Japanese, you may know it's arigato, right? So Sakai says this a lot at the shop. Okini, okini. Um, Thank you. And another one that you will hear is right at the end of the show when he's trying to stop himself from saying to Soga that he likes him, he says, Akan. And that in standard Japanese is dame. And it means don't do it, stop, kind of feeling. Like if your dog was chewing on your phone cable, you'd be like, hey, drop it. Don't do it. Don't do dame, dame, dame. I can't kind of thing, right? So those are two words that we saw in this episode. I'm going to do a full post about Kansai Ben at some point. Okay, so that's how Kansai might affect this show. Have you felt anything different? Can you hear the difference in the way people are speaking? Does comedy feel different? Can you see, I mean, I think everybody can see the difference between Soga and Sakae. Tell me, what do you feel is different? Leave me a comment and let me know. Until the next time, be blessed.